Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor. Congressman Jim Jordan is so good. You know how good this guy is? A month ago, he picked San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, UConn, and, well, of course, Wisconsin. He got that one wrong. But he joins us now. Congressman Jordan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good to be with you, Larry. I think that, well, I appreciate your thoughts there, but I didn't pick any.
Yeah, I don't think anybody picked this Final Four at all.
Well, I think Joe Biden may go out and say he picked these Final Four. You never know what he's going to say.
Oh, he'll tell us he went to all four of those schools at some point in his life, and is from those states. Congressman, before we get to your vital and important work you're doing in the House of Representatives, I do want to touch base with you about your beloved home state of Ohio. It seems like Pete Buttigieg gets to East Palestine, gets the news cycle behind him, and now you're not hearing anything about what's going on there. Is the cleanup still progressing? And is the Department of Transportation or Biden's EPA at all even involved in this? Because it seems like the people of Eastern Ohio have been abandoned.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. I know Congressman Johnson, who represents that part of the state. I'm clear on the other side of the state, but I do think there's some progress being made. But you're right. I mean, where was the administration? You know, President Trump was there before any of the administration, frankly, showed up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just one of those special President Trump moments when he's in the McDonald's buying everyone Big Macs, talking with the citizens of that community who's been hit with this terrible tragedy. What a contrast with how he handled the situation and how the administration has been handling the situation. So let's hope it works out for the best for those good folks in East Palestine.
Yeah, but the contrast of how quickly they responded to the Silicon Valley Bank problem versus what they did here. I mean, would it surprise you if there was actually some sort of conversation about how the people in East Palestine vote compared to how the people in Silicon Valley vote?
Well, let's hope not. You hope that's not the case, but we do know that we've seen time after time this double standard. One set of rules for us regular folk, like the folk in Ohio who vote Republican, who vote for President Trump, and a different set of rules for the politically connected, the Democrat, the elite class here in D.C. So let's hope that didn't happen. But frankly, based on some of the things we have seen from various agencies, you never know.
I was the MC of a Republican convention in Maryland over the weekend, and a voter came up to me and said, Larry, what can we do to stop this district attorney in Manhattan from indicting President Trump? And I shrugged. I said, I don't think there's anything that can be done to stop him. But now I'm seeing some of the letters of request that you're putting out from your committee. Is there a way to get in front of this, Congressman?
Well, I mean, this is ridiculous. And I think the way you deal with this is you just point out how ridiculous this is. The Department of Justice wouldn't bring this case. The former district attorney, Cy Vance, wouldn't bring the case. And even the current district attorney, Alvin Bragg, didn't bring the case when he was first elected, said, no, we can't use Michael Cohen, a guy who came to Congress and lied 6 times under oath in front of Congress a few years ago. We can't use him as our star witness. And then 2 of his assistants resign, pitch a fit, create this political pressure from the left, and Alvin Bragg seems to be switching his mind. Now, who knows what he's ultimately going to do? But I thought Kim Strassel in the Journal had a great piece over the weekend where she said, if you cross this line, if you let a locally elected official from a hugely Democrat area go after the former president from the other party and the current candidate leading in the polls, if you allow that to happen, then you've crossed the line and it's going to happen on the other side. You're going to get some district attorney sometime from Alabama or Arkansas or something go after the Democrat, which again is that's not what we want in our great country. So let's hope this doesn't happen because it's all political. And I think most people who have common sense in the country understand that.
Well, I'd love to flesh that out a little bit more because I think this is one of the reasons why you really wanted this select committee on the weaponization of the government and the Justice Department, the FBI. But there are a lot of people in this town who will say, hey, when we have the control of those departments again, we'll just do to them what they did to us. That's how politics is played. How are they wrong?
Well, you don't want that downward spiral in a country as great as ours, the greatest nation ever. It's not how our constitutional system is supposed to work. So you hope you never have to go there. What we're trying to do is point out all those instances where these federal agencies, we believe, have been turned on the very people they're supposed to serve. Get those facts on the table so the country fully understands what's been going on. The targeting by the FBI, if you're a traditional Catholic, you're a domestic extremist, if you're a pro-lifer, they're going to come investigate you. I mean, if you're a parent showing up at a school board meeting, for goodness sake. So we want to get all the facts on the table and then propose legislation to fix it. That's how we're supposed to address it as a legislative body, or maybe use the appropriations process and say, look, if you're going to engage in this kind of activity, we're not going to give you the money, as much money or the money for those kind of things. We're going to use the power of the purse to limit the funds that you get of American tax dollars.
Let's focus on that last item, parents going to school board meetings, because there has been a letter released now from the Judiciary Committee, and it specifically focuses on the fact that there was no basis, there was nothing in terms of violence or intimidation or threats that would have motivated Merrick Garland to write that letter investigating parents. But what stuck out to me, sir, was that I had forgotten, and I was right in the middle of it here in the D.C., Northern Virginia area.
I know.
It was October of 2021. This was the final weeks of that governor's race in Virginia. Is there any evidence other than the timing that shows that this was incredibly politically motivated to isolate the Youngkin voters and to help bolster Terry McAuliffe?
I'm convinced that that's what the motive was, that they thought this was a way, it backfired on it, but they thought this was a way to help Terry McAuliffe be the next governor of Virginia. Turned out it wasn't the case, and Glenn Youngkin, I think, got elected largely because of this issue. And remember what Terry McAuliffe said. He says, we don't think parents should be telling teachers and schools what to teach their kids. And a bunch of moms said, wait a minute, I think we got a problem with that. After all, we know our kids' name, for goodness sake. You don't even know their name, some bureaucrat in Richmond or bureaucrat in D.C. And the key, we released a report last week. The key line in there wasn't from Jim Jordan or Mike Johnson, our constitutional subcommittee chairman. It wasn't from Republicans. It was from a U.S. attorney who said, this crisis looks manufactured. This idea you're bringing in this federal government and creating this federal scheme with a national snitch line to report parents all looks manufactured. Everyone they talked to said there's no need for this. So that came, again, from a United States district attorney in the Democrat Biden administration, not from Republicans. That's what they did it for politics.
As you know, Congressman Jordan, what the Justice Department and the FBI has done is definitely part of the problem, but what they refuse not to do is also a problem. I know that you've been looking at the evidence on Hunter Biden's laptop and much of the payments that have gone to the Biden family, multiple members of the Biden family. It's been almost 5 years that the U.S. attorney in Delaware has had this information. Where are they? For God's sake, they act pretty fast when it comes to other investigations.
Boy, they sure do. If it's parents, pro-lifers, or traditional Catholics, it seems like you get some swift action from the Justice Department. So I mean, who knows? What I do know, and what we're kind of trying to focus on in our part of that is, what happened in the run-up to the 2020 election. I just find this fascinating. Michael Schellenberger wrote about this in the Twitter files. But understand, in the run-up to that 2020 presidential race, Yoel Roth, in his sworn declaration, he's the guy who worked for Twitter, he said he met with the FBI and other agencies throughout 2020. They met on a weekly basis. He was told there was likely to be a hack and leak operation. It would come in October of that year, and it would involve Hunter Biden. Now, stop and think about that. The FBI told him what's going to happen, who it's going to involve, and the person that's going to be targeted. It's going to be the method, the time, and the person. Now, how in the heck did they know? I mean, these guys are like, they can predict the future. Well, the reason they knew, Larry, is because, as you know, and you've told your listeners, they had the laptop for a year. So they were trying to, as Michael Schellenberger said, pre-bunk the story. And then the story comes out and they're like, no, this is just what we told you, a hack and leak operation in October involving Hunter Biden. And then, of course, a few days after that, the 51 former intel officials signed the now famous letter. And they kept that information from we the people. Just days before the most important election we have.
Well, they silenced we the people for even repeating and sharing the information. Congressman Jordan, we appreciate you going after the facts and revealing the truth, and we will do our best on our side to trumpet it, blare it, and let everybody know. Keep in touch, please, and keep up the great work. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.